Welcome back to the Blank Slates. We're covering basic concepts in evolutionary theory. Today we're going to talk about the selfish gene. Richard Dawkins's groundbreaking work isn't about human morality. It's about a fundamental shift in perspective, arguing that the gene, not the individual organism or the group, is the fundamental unit of natural selection. The word selfish in the title is chosen for a very specific reason, to highlight which level in the hierarchy of life is the inevitably selfish level, where natural selection truly acts. It's a metaphor to explain how natural selection works. Genes don't possess conscious personalities or motives. However, when he says selfish, he describes the inherent tendency of genes to survive and propagate themselves at the expense of their rivals. The gene as the ultimate replicator. To understand this, we must grasp the distinction between replicators and vehicles. Replicators are the fundamental units of natural selection. They are the basic things that make copies of themselves and whose survival or failure determines the course of evolution. For most of life on Earth, this replicator is the DNA molecule, the gene. Dawkins defines the gene as any portion of chromosomal material that potentially lasts for enough generations to serve as a unit of natural selection. This potential near immortality in the form of copies is a defining property of a successful gene. Vehicles are the survival machines built by these replicators to protect and propagate them into the next generation. Our bodies, individual organisms, are prime examples of such vehicles. Vehicles don't replicate themselves. They exist to propagate their replicators. Why is the individual organism not the fundamental unit of selection? Firstly, individuals are unique and temporary. You cannot get evolution by selecting between entities when there is only one copy of each entity. Our combination of genes is short-lived. A chromosome lasts only one generation. Secondly, sexual reproduction constantly shuffles genes, meaning that your children are only half you, your grandchildren only a quarter you. If an individual organism were the replicator, changes like losing a leg would not be passed on through asexual reproduction, but genetic changes like mutations are. So the emphasis is on the gene's eye view, because while individuals live or die, the long-term consequences of differential survival and reproduction are manifested as changing gene frequencies in the gene pool. Evolution is essentially the process by which some genes become more numerous and others less numerous in this gene pool. The manifestations of gene selfishness. The concept of gene selfishness helps explain a vast array of biological phenomena, even those that appear altruistic. This is because a gene in its selfish drive will favor any behavior that increases the survival chances of its copies, regardless of the body those copies reside in. Let's explore how this selfishness plays out. Kin altruism. Genes can enhance their survival by fostering altruism towards relatives. Hamilton's rule states that an altruistic act will be favored if the benefit to the recipient, scaled by their genetic relatedness to the altruist, outweighs the cost to the altruist. For example, a gene for suicidally saving 5 cousins, relatedness 1/8, would not spread, but a gene for saving 5 brothers, relatedness 1/2, would. This is because the gene for altruism has a higher statistical chance of being present in the saved relatives' bodies. Parental care is simply a special case of kin altruism. Genetically speaking, caring for a baby brother is similar to caring for a baby son, as their relatedness is the same, 1/2. Reciprocal altruism. Cooperation can evolve even among non-relatives if there is a reasonable expectation of repayment. This is illustrated by the grudger strategy in game theory models, which helps those who help them but grudges against cheats. Examples include vampire bats, sharing blood meals, or cleaner fish and their clients. These relationships require individual recognition and memory. Conflict of interest. Gene selfishness also explains conflicts. Parent-offspring conflict. While parents and offspring share genes, their genetic interests are not identical. A child is twice as related to itself 100%, as to any sibling, 50%. This can lead to conflicts, such as during weaning, where the child wants more parental investment than the parent wants to give to maximize the child's own gene propagation. Battle of the sexes. The fundamental difference in investment between the sperm, small numerous, and eggs, large resource rich, drives conflict between mates. Each partner wants to maximize their reproductive output, ideally by introducing the other to invest more in offspring. This can lead to males being more prone to promiscuity and females adopting strategies like domestic bliss, demanding male fertility, or He-Man, selecting for good genes. Extended phenotypes and manipulation. Genes can have phenotypic effects that extend beyond the individual's body. Beaver dams and bird nests are adaptations that benefit the builder's genes. Variations in genes influence variations in the structures, and genes associated with good structures are favored. Parasite genes can manipulate the bodies of their hosts. For instance, a fluke parasite can make a snail grow an extra thick shell, where the parasites benefit, not the snails. Similarly, cuckoo chick characteristics can act like a drug on the host's nervous system, manipulating host parents into feeding them. The central theorem of the extended phenotype states an animal's behavior tends to maximize the survival of the genes for that behavior, whether or not those genes happen to be in the body of the particular animal performing it. Conclusion: beyond biology, the human dimension. It's vital to remember that when we talk about genes being selfish or cooperating, it is a figure of speech. Genes are simply molecules blindly selected for their ability to replicate. They collaborate and interact in inextricably complex ways, both with each other and with their external environment. While biological nature may be fundamentally selfish at the gene level, Dawkins stresses a unique human capacity, our conscious foresight. Our brains evolved to predict the future, have the power to rebel against these dictates of our selfish genes. We can use contraception to limit reproduction, defy our genetic programming, and consciously choose to build a society based on genuine, disinterested altruism, something that has no place in nature, but can be cultivated by human will. The selfish gene theory offers a powerful, coherent framework for understanding the mechanisms of evolution, from the smallest molecular interactions to complex social behaviors, by consistently asking what effect will this characteristic have on frequencies of genes in the gene pool. It is a way of seeing that has profoundly shaped modern biology.